He's very warm, very generous, extraordinarily generous with his students and his friends, and fun-loving, but also a very serious scientist.
As a mentor, there's a reason that his students, decades after, still call him for advice, be it on science or in life. And his students, we, really are one big family still.
He really is, for me, a guiding light. The experiences that he's brought to me have shaped my life, immensely, and I think that the variety of things that I do now in my life are a direct result of the stuff that I've been exposed to because of him.
Yeah, I was actually born in Omaha, Nebraska, but I only spent 3 months there. Then we eventually ended up in New England, and that's where I was brought up. I really don't think that I was even thinking about science, and having a lot of lawyers in my family, I was kind of thinking along those terms. I took that one course in geology in science. That was the only science I needed, so that was the easiest one, so I took geology. It's the combination of travel and the mystery of the unknown that has kept me in geology and kept me totally interested in it. And of course, the minute I mentioned Alberta to a lot of people at Stanford, they said, well, Alberta, they kind of looked at me. And they said, wait a minute, you should go over and talk to the president of Stanford. I said, why? He said, he went to the University of Alberta. And I'll never forget this. His name is Wallace Sterling. I went over and talked to him, and I said, well, what about the University of Alberta? And I can remember what he said. He said, well, I'm doing okay. and so we came up here and worked on my PhD, and we just never left. It's as simple as that.
He did a series on television for one of the local stations on climate change.
Good day. The last few programs we've talked about when Canada was covered by ice.
Well, if there's one thing I know, it's that they are definitely academics and not television personalities. They're quite stiff in their presentation.
It was so much fun going back and look at the old pictures. That's where the laugh was, not so much at the time we made the film, but after, 25 years later.
No, they were not asked afterwards to, move on to bigger and better movie productions or anything like that.
His earliest contributions, and ones in climate change that will continue, are climate change that involves windblown dust, or loess, in China. And those contributions that he made in China, I think, will last for a long time.
And we've just essentially discovered that over the last 2.5 million years, you've had these 37 major climatic changes. But I suppose the most important thing is the students, my graduate students. I had a great number of graduate students here, and therefore, from a satisfaction point of view, to watch them and what they're doing is probably the greatest satisfaction I have. Well, I always say to my students, too, and other people, that happiest times of my life have really been in the field.
If his students are all over the world, he's all over the world with them. And I think it is true that he's visited most countries in the world. And most of the unique geological features in the world he's seen, and there's very few people that I think can say that.
I've never really looked back. I've always thought this was a great place to be, and I still to this day, and a lot of people know that I think it's a great place. And great experience, never regret it.
I see my father in the field with a cigar sticking out of his mouth and doing geology, and that's how I've seen him from day one. That's the mental picture that sticks with me.